everybody. Welcome to another Route Consultant weekly webinar. For those of you who are here for the first time, my name is Josh Gregory. I am the Vice President of Education here at Route Consultant. If you've never run into us before, our team ran hundreds of routes across the country, both P&D and the line haul side of this FedEx space. And today we're here to help new buyers looking to get into the space for the first time, and also all the contractors who are in the space right now trying to find the best ways to run a more efficient and profitable business. And we want these to always be a place where you can come, learn, ask questions, have a little fun. And for everyone who's here every week, welcome back. Whether you're brand new or you come every week, you've been a contractor for years, we always want this to be a place where you can find value, ask questions, and learn a little bit. Before I go too much farther, I do have the disclaimer to read. So Route Consultant is not endorsed by and is not recommended by Federal Express Corporation, FedEx Ground, or Amazon. Route Consultant is not sponsored by, is not approved by, is not associated with, and has no connection whatsoever with Federal Express Corporation, FedEx Ground, or Amazon. So, format for today, if you've never been here, I've got some things to go over, some updates, some things on some upcoming events and inventory and some content. And then at the end, we will have time for Q&A. So whether it's what I talk about today or anything that you have questions on in the space, things that are happening right now, feel free to ask them. My only request is there is a Q&A button at the bottom of the window. If you want your question addressed, put it there. It's the easiest place for me to see it, is that little Q&A button at the bottom of the window. And you can type those in at any point while I'm talking. It's just I won't come back to the questions until the end. So for today, you've probably heard us mention it for months and months now, but we are only about 2.5 weeks away from the Expo now in Dallas. And this is one of our biggest events of the year. It's one that if you're a contractor in this industry, it is in your best interest to attend, learn, but more importantly, meet all the contractors from across the country in the same place. And the full schedule is live on the website, so it's all there. But what I wanted to do is just quickly hit a few highlights for everybody as you're trying to decide whether to come or not, if you're still on that fence 2 weeks out. And then I'm going to help answer any questions that you may have around logistics of the event or questions about the content. And if you're still trying to figure out if there's specific things that will be covered at the Expo, I'm happy to let you know whether or not it'll be there and take that feedback. Now, if you haven't seen it, the Expo is happening on Friday, August 2nd through Sunday, August 4th. And so that Friday night, when you come and arrive, that's just registration and a kickoff happy hour. So it'll be a lot of fun. You know, we'll have food and drinks, entertainment. So if you do come in Friday night, it'll make it easier for you to get registered Saturday morning, so you don't have to go through all that. But we'll also have registration Saturday morning for all those who get there then. But importantly, on Friday, if you are a new investor trying to get into the logistics industry, any of the silos that we talk about, we are going to have a new investors workshop for free from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. on that Friday. So if you're already coming to the Expo, this is something that we're hosting for free. There is normally a cost, but it is free for this Expo, where if you're coming already, we're going to host this workshop for anyone who comes the day before. Now, if you haven't heard of these, this is a day where we give you a crash course on everything that we can possibly try to teach you and cram into your head in a day. So things are about getting started in the business, understanding due diligence and how to find the right business and pay the right price for it, recruiting, fleet strategy, and tons more. Like I said, we're trying to cram as much as we can. And it's the best place to start to get into the space, no matter the industry that you're interested in. So FedEx, Amazon, Waste, EMS, or Bread, we got content on all of it. But it's even better as a kickstart to the Expo weekend, where there's going to be a lot of in-depth sessions and a lot of contractors at the Expo. So if you're trying to figure out where you fit in, that is a great way to get started and take that crash course. So if you haven't signed up for that yet, there is still time to register. And I'll say too, if for some reason you can't make it in on Friday, I am hosting early on Saturday a session where I'm just going to kind of go over all of these different things, all these different silos, to give you that overview and kind of give some tips on how to get the most out of the Expo. So if it is your first Expo, that might be one to go to Saturday morning. But Saturday morning is where the real Expo begins. And the first session on Saturday is one that you really don't want to miss. So Spencer Patton, our founder, the guy who started this all and has led us for all these years, is leading a session about everything that he has learned over the last few years when it comes to preparing your business for any kind of legal dispute. And if you've been following along both his and Route Consultant's journey in this industry over these last few years, you will want to be there. It is a good chance to learn, to ask questions, and make sure that your business is ready for anything. And I know a lot of you are wanting to see Spencer ask questions on what that looked like for him. So it's the first thing on Saturday morning. It's going to be open for everybody, and hopefully you'll be there for that. Also, the theme of this whole event is Fuel Up. And if you haven't seen the announcement, there's actually a huge partnership between the RCPA fuel card and the Ground Cloud platform to not just bring fuel savings, but also to give you tons of data that you can use to take your fleet strategy to the next level. So more than just fuel. And there's going to be a session on Saturday to talk about that and how the fuel partnership can really bring value to any industry. It's not just FedEx, but any transportation industry you're a part of. But those are the kind of the two main ones. But after those, you're going to have choices for the rest of the 2 days. So I just wanted to spend some time right now giving a couple of highlights, depending on which industry you're looking at. And I'm not going through every session right now. Like I said, we do have that full agenda live, and you can go through it and try to figure out the best sessions for you. But I am going to just highlight a couple of them right here. So we will start with FedEx. And whether you're interested in P&D or line haul, there are sessions and tracks for the entire event for both of those. But just for P&D, a couple of quick highlights. There are tons to attend and really important ones, but just two to highlight. The first is all about the metals program, but it's not just how does the metal system works, but you're also going to be hearing from contractors on how you should take the metrics that FedEx gives you, learn what those metrics are, but also compare those to what you really need to be focusing on to be profitable. So how do you stay in FedEx's good graces and still run a successful business? And that's kind of the polarizing diametric that we're dealing with in this space right now as contractors. And you'll also learn how sometimes shooting for gold isn't always the best decision. Sometimes it can even be a bad decision. So this is a really important tactical session on the real metrics and the real criteria that you need to put in place in your business, not just the ones that FedEx has, but kind of what are the benchmarks and the thresholds that you should shoot for to be successful in the current market that FedEx is creating when it comes to that metals program. The next one is one that just continues to be a big questions on everyone's mind, and that is the Express integration. And so we'll talk about where we think it's going, but we aren't just speculating. This is about what you will encounter if you go through this integration, and then what are the various flavors and pay incentives that you may encounter. FedEx has done a bunch of different things here, and they're still, in a lot of ways, experimenting and evolving this equation. And then we're also going to go through what you actually have to be doing to be successful when Express comes to your terminal. So what are the growing pains that you may go through? What are the ways to optimize your business once it's there? And if you're struggling with that Express volume already, or you're just trying to plan and prepare for it and have the right things in place, you have to be at this session. And really, it's a good way to see contractors who have experienced every step of this. And, it's hard to say they're on the other side of the integration because this continues to evolve daily, but they're at least as far down the path as anyone is. They've been doing it for over a year now. So you'll really get to see what it can look like and ultimately how it can be, a really profitable part of your business in a way that you can continue to grow and change in the FedEx network. So those are the couple of P&D ones that I wanted to highlight. On the line haul side, I'll just point out two others. So the first is similar to that metals discussion in P&D, but it's really a planning session too, because metals is very new in the line haul space. It's been about 3 months now that they've really been talking about it and implementing it. So if you're new to the line haul space, or if you've been in it for a long time, no one has tons of experience. So this is all us bringing what we've learned from FedEx, contractors talking about what they know and how they're building it into their business plan. and what you need to understand around how you'll be judged in your business and how to plan your business around it. So this is going to be really detailed and informative about understanding what those metrics are and how to optimize them in your existing business. We also have a really exciting panel of contractors on the line haul side who are going to be talking about where they see the line haul space going in the next few years. So how will growth change? How will scale change? Will Express impact line haul in similar ways to what it's doing on the P&D side? And in general, where do we see that logistics industry trending? And then how do you structure your business to get the most value out of what that future state could be and probably will be? So that's one where we're having, a large number of line haul contractors kind of go back and forth and explain what they're seeing and preparing for so that you can start to build that into your own plans. Now, I know I said 2 for line haul, but here's just another quick one that I wanted to highlight. So this has been a relatively low freight year in this industry. So what we have is a session about how you can best optimize your expenses and find additional revenue streams in the line haul space when you are in that low freight environment. So whether it's now or at some point in the future, these are really important tools to have in your tool belt, regardless of the economy. So that's another one to make sure to attend as well on the line haul side. So again, that's not everything on the FedEx side. I'm just trying to call out a couple of those to give you a taste of what it's going to be like on those days. Now, there are a few other industries we're highlighting this year, starting with Amazon. And the first that I'll highlight is for those of you who are trying to understand the difference between Amazon and FedEx and really what it would be like to operate both. So we're going to have a panel of contractors with experience in both or who may be doing both right now already to help you understand the pros and cons of each and what it's like to run them together. So you can really get a feel of, hey, is this something that I can do? Or maybe I'm a FedEx contractor and my skill set actually lends itself more towards what I'm hearing about the Amazon space, or vice versa, where maybe it's worth dipping your toe into the other, operating both at once, but hearing it from a few different viewpoints and really deciding if that's something that's worth your time and energy as you're trying to decide where to spend that time. Now, if you're already an Amazon DSP, you're probably intimately aware with the challenges on the insurance side that have really escalated in the last year or so. If you're not familiar, you do actually have to have your own DOT on the Amazon side, and there are different liability insurances than the FedEx side that have really started to trend upwards in expense and cost over these last couple of years. There's also some different fleet concerns in the Amazon space than there have ever been, where it's going to start to make a lot more sense to potentially have your own fleet that's owned, or at least part of your fleet is owned or leased through someone else, not through Amazon. So we're really going to have important sessions on both of those, talking through how to keep those costs as low as possible and ways to control those expenses and plan for these changes in the DSP space over time. Now, we're also going to have sessions on waste, on EMS, and on the bread route industry with contractors from all of them on site that will not just be presenting in those sessions, but explaining those industries, and they'll be on site for the whole weekend to answer questions, talk through opportunities, and really give you a feel for what any of these different ones can look like if you do decide that that's where you want to jump into as your next investment. Now, we do have something really exciting and a game-changing announcement really for the bread industry, but I can't share it yet. So stay tuned and you will hear from us very soon on that. But if you've had here's what I'll say is if you've had any interest in entering that industry, it's going to be easier to do it than ever before and at just about any location in the country. So if that has any appeal for you, stay tuned. You'll probably hear something from us in these next couple of weeks to kind of announce it, but you'll definitely hear more at the Expo. So again, there are so many more sessions to talk about. It's going to be a full set of 2 days with content basically going all day long for both of them. But that's all I'm going to highlight for right now from a session perspective. Now, the sessions are not the only thing going on. If you've ever been to one of these, we also have that Expo floor that is going to be open all day as well with every vendor you could ever be looking for. They're going to be open on both days, like I said. So if there's any advice that I can really give you about getting the most out of the Expo, it's that you need to spend time on the floor, not just in all of these sessions, because you need to meet the companies that are going to take you to the next level in this business. people that you won't really get a chance to, it's very different to put a face to a name, to talk to them, explain your problem, see if they can help, as opposed to just trying to Google and find the best resource, because sometimes that is a crapshoot and nearly impossible in a space like this. So these are people who are focused on the individual industries that you're focused on, whether it's FedEx or Amazon or any of those silos that we're talking about. You also need to make sure that you're spending time networking with contractors. This is a priceless opportunity to see what is happening at different points, different places in the country, ask questions, and really try to validate if the challenges that you're encountering are the same as others across the country. I know that's what things like the Facebook group and online forums are for, but really it's so much different when you can sit down, talk through your challenges, your stories, and one, it's just a sense of comfort to make sure that you're not going crazy and that there's other people's experiencing it. But two, you can get so many different ideas and tools and ways to solve these problems in ways you wouldn't have thought of just by sitting down and networking. So make sure you do that. There's different points throughout the event. Obviously, there are meals covered where you can sit and talk at any point during the event. But we also have our big reception and party the Saturday night with a beautiful venue, the Glass Cactus. If you want to go ahead and look it up, it's on the site. But that is going to be a great opportunity at the end of the first day to really talk through all the things you've learned and digested and start to think about how to implement them in your own business. So, like I said, this is just kind of a tease, a quick run through, but we are only about 2 weeks out. So if you haven't booked already, this is your wake-up call. You got to be there. So I can't wait to see everybody in a few weeks. Again, for me, these kinds of events are fantastic because this webinar and these opportunities where I get to talk to you all every week are not ones where I get to see any other faces or really hear you. So I'm looking forward to the expo to really make sure that we get a chance to connect. You can meet everyone at Route Consultant, contractors from across the country, and it's just an amazing event. So, like I said, that's it for what I wanted to highlight. I'm going to read through some of the new inventory for this week and a couple of other reminders. But if anyone has any questions, now's the time to type them in while I'm kind of going through this admin side of things. So whether it's questions about Expo or content at the Expo or just anything about the industry, I'm here to answer those. And you can type them in while I'm going. If we don't have any questions, we don't, but just make sure if you have them, now's the time to type them. So 2 new listings this week. The first is out of Ohio. It is 11 P&D routes at $850,000. This is one that has 12 employees. It comes with 11 trucks and a manager as well. And so it's a really profitable business. It's a little bit higher mileage, but there are trucks there that are high value and they come free and clear. And so if you're looking for something in Ohio, this comes in with a pretty good margin here. Next one's out of Idaho. This is 12 P&D routes at $1 million. Again, a pretty high margin, 18.9%. It's got 14 employees and 14 trucks for the 12 routes. And it also has a manager. This is a dense operation in Idaho and has mainly newer vehicles. So those are the 2 new ones for this week, Idaho and Ohio. Questions about any of those, feel free to reach out to the team, info@routeconsultant.com. We can share all the details, all the financials. So normally this is where I highlight all the events. Obviously, the Expo is the big one that I wanted to highlight. If you didn't hear, as a reminder, the Expo is August 2nd through 4th. And on that August 2nd Friday, we are hosting a new investor workshop that is actually free to attend if you're attending the Expo. And so if you haven't registered and you want to go to either of those, they're both open, and we actually put the links in the chat. The last thing is, I know it's hard to conceptualize, but our next happy hour is after the Expo in September. So if you're trying to plan your next time to see us, we'll actually be out in Denver on September 10th. And so that's our happy hour. We'll be over there in person. So if for some reason you can't go to the Expo, but you can go to Denver, then hopefully we'll see you at one of those 2 places. So that's all the events and prospectuses, new inventory that I wanted to go over this week. I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm going to kind of give it a going once, going twice. Okay, no questions came in, so I'm not going to hold you here any longer, but hopefully this is kind of one of the last times we're going to talk, and we will see each other in person in just a few weeks. So everybody, thank you for being here, for joining. And like I said, hopefully the next time I see you will actually be in person at the Expo. Thanks, everybody.